Welcome families! Pack your bags and join us as we set out on an unforgettable four-wheel drive adventure to the enchanting Fraser Island, the world's largest sand island and the perfect destination for a fun-filled family escapade. In these family-focused travel series, we navigate through ancient rainforest, tranquil lakes and endless stretches of pristine sandy beaches. So lean back, strap yourself in and enjoy the final part 3 of this Fraser Island adventure. Welcome back to the final episode of our Fraser Island adventure. Today we try to make our way towards the Sandy Cape Lighthouse, and for that we have to cross Ngkala Rocks. At the beginning of Ngkala Rocks you make your way through a narrow channel which has been carved into the coffee rock over decades of cars using it. This is reasonably narrow but is not really the hard part of Ngkala Rocks. Kylie is driving the white Y62 Patrol, which is probably one of the widest regular four-wheel drives on the market. When you're sitting in it and you're driving through the channel, it appears much narrower than it actually is. So Kylie is taking good care not to scratch the mirrors or the car anywhere. The very soft section of sand coming afterwards is really the hard part. If you have an empty day on Fraser and you don't know what to do and want some entertainment, head over to Ngkala Rock at low tide and watch the Shenanigans. The whole stretch of track until we hit the beach again is the supposedly hard bit. However, just lower your tire pressure accordingly and really no one should get stuck there. It's hard to beat the sound of the V8, don't you think? Driving towards Sandy Cape, the weather didn't look too convincing, but we decided we give it a go anyway and deal with it when we're there. Fraser Island is governed by the tides, so it's best to drive 2 hours before and after low tide. At high tide you certainly could not get to Sandy Cape. After we came around the tip of Fraser Island and drove west, we noticed that the beach had eroded quite a bit and there were a lot of fallen trees blocking the shoreline, even at nearly low tide. So we had to time the waves to get around some of these trees. However, it turned out that that was only the start, because a few hundred meters further we got stopped because there were around 500 meters of beach covered with trees and debris, and there was no way around it unless you were prepared to drive fully through salt water, which we certainly wouldn't do. We were there at what was supposed to be a pretty low tide at 0.5 meters. However, maybe the storms and so on we had before pushed the tide a bit higher, because at a very low tide supposedly you still can get around. We all had been at the lighthouse a few times, so we decided to have morning tea, watch the marine life swim past and then turn around and make our way back, as we certainly didn't want to do the wave timing with the tide coming in. Back at Ngkala Rocks, and this time driving south, we had the usual traffic jam of stuck people, so we had to pull over, watch their recovery and wait until they cleared the track. After returning from Sandy Cape, we stopped over at the campground and Dave and family set up at Waddy Beach for the rest of the day. Kaelan, just reading David Goggins' book, decided he's going for a run. That silly boy says he goes for a quick run along the beach. Told him to take the stick and stay where all the people camp, so he runs 9 kilometers to Ngkala Rock one way and now runs back 9 kilometers. Dave and family had set up at Waddy Beach for the rest of the day, and that's another good reason why we often stay at Waddy Point when we camp with the kids, because you always have access to the beach, and at low tide it's good swimming in the pools. This was also the last evening for Dave and Kylie. They would leave us in the morning and we would stay on for another day. We hadn't really spent any time at Eli Creek, especially during the day, so the kids wanted the last day at Eli Creek, and so we did. I have driven past the Cathedral Campground and Dundabara Campground many times, but today we thought to have a look, check it out and see whether it may be an option for future trips. Cathedral Beach is a private campground. It has a little store, it has a takeaway, it has coffee, and the prices are a bit more moderate than, for example, Orchid Beach, because it is closer to the mainland. The cathedrals are fully fenced, so there is little chance for dingoes. However, it is on the more expensive side, with the unpowered campsite costing $55 per night and the premium powered campsite $75 per night. They also have cabins and permanent tents. Dundabara is a fenced-in national parks campground, and I have to say I really like it. All the facilities are a bit newer, and I found, at least the day we were there, cleaner than up at Waddy Point. All the sides are very nice and sheltered. It is also dingo fenced. The only issue I see with these campgrounds, as well as with the cathedrals, if you rely on solar power to keep your gear charged, I think you will be hard pressed to find a spot with enough sun to keep all your gear going. But otherwise, I have to say that are certainly campgrounds I will consider in the future, especially Dundabara, because it is way cheaper than the cathedrals. This was the last night at Fraser for us, so we started slowly packing in. Another reason why I like Waddy Point, and in particular the group campground there, it has actually a fairly big opening, so I get plenty of sun to keep all my gear going, and with my 200 watt Bluetti panel and another 200 watt atom power panel on top of the camper trailer, I could comfortably run everything I needed to run. I could be the day away and still get enough juice in without moving the panels constantly. Isn't he beautiful? He was about to die in the water. He got his leg stuck in between the shower, so he couldn't move. He was just sitting there. As soon as I freed him, he was crawling all over. It was time to hitch on and make our way to the barge. If you follow my channel, you know how many issues I had with my old Mac hitch and that I switched to the Hitch-Ezi, and man, I can only tell you, hitching on or off is now so easy. That was really a very good investment. I do not regret at all. Little bit feedback to my new drone, the DJI Mavic 3 Classic. It does some amazing stuff, but it also fails at some pretty easy things. For example, here it lost my car, which being the only clearly distinguishable object on the beach, it really shouldn't have lost it. The same here when I drive on the Indian Head bypass. The DJI Mavic 3 initially follows well, even if the car is for split seconds half obscured by a tree. However, then it loses the car in a completely open area where it definitely shouldn't have lost the car. To me it feels like that my old Mavic Air 2 has actually better active tracking than the new Mavic 3 Classic. The Indian Head bypass is not necessarily where you want to stop, especially with the camper trailer, as it's often very soft. However, I did have to stop because I needed to reset the drone, but with a low tire pressure I was running in the car and trailer, it was no issue to get going again. I have to say, after 2 years with the Signature Deluxe camper trailer, I'm still very happy with it. It works very well for us and the performance on and off-road is very good. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye to Fraser Island once more, but one thing is for sure, we will be back. Once we reach the mainland, our first stop at Rainbow Beach will be the car wash there, where you can give the car a good underbody wash and also obviously wash the rest of the car to remove most of the salt from the vehicle. Something I definitely recommend. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please keep in mind this is a self-funded channel, so I would greatly appreciate if you could help me out by sharing, liking and subscribing. And if you can, please consider head over to Patreon or buy me a coffee, and with the equivalent of a cup of coffee or two per month, you can really help me making these videos. Thanks a lot for watching and see you along the tracks.